All right, Bordeaux, or should I say Bordeaux Part 1, as you're going to get the pleasure of watching another one of these videos focusing on Bordeaux Part 2. So for Bordeaux Part 1, we're going to focus on the left bank of Bordeaux. Now, Bordeaux is a big place, and it's divided by a couple different rivers. First of all, you have what they call the Gironde Estuary, which is like this big, wide river that the left bank of Bordeaux, which we're going to cover today, is based mostly on. And then Bordeaux that river splits into the Garonne and the Dordogne. And there you're going to get Entre-deux-Mers, and we're going to focus on the right bank of Bordeaux in the next video. But for this one, we're going to focus on the left bank of Bordeaux, mostly along that Gironde estuary. Okay, so where do we start? Well, let's start from the bottom, okay? The town of Bordeaux is right along the bottom, near the bottom of that estuary as the rivers start to divide. And just south of that town, we see an area called Pessac-Léognan. And Pessac-Léognan is actually, something cool about Pessac-Léognan is that the the zone itself started in the city of Bordeaux. So in fact, there are 3 or 4 chateaux still within the city limits of Bordeaux. Amongst them, 4 of the best. Aubryon, La Mission Aubryon, Pape Clément, and Les Carmes Aubryon are all in the town limits. Like, you can literally take the bus out to Aubryon, which is really cool. Now, from there, you kind of head north. And as you're heading north, what you'll find out is things start getting a little cabbier. And I'm not talking about taxis. I'm talking about Cabernet Sauvignon, where the soils down in the southern part of this left bank of Bordeaux are kind of friendlier towards Merlot. Mostly Cabernet still, but with a good dollop of Merlot in there. As we head north along the Gironde, or the D2, as they call it, the main road there, the whole left side, that whole left bank of Bordeaux is called the Medoc, M-E-D-O-C. And the Medoc is like this all-encompassing name for the whole kit and caboodle. So if you see Medoc on the label, you know that wine comes from the left side of Bordeaux. Okay, very simple. Now, the Haut Medoc, or as they call it, like the upper Medoc, is kind of split into a couple different parts, which the first part being just above the town of Bordeaux. Now, when it says Haut Medoc, what do you think? Upper Medoc or Haut Medoc, like cooler Medoc, better Medoc? It is. It is. It's this little superior area there that produces some of the best value wines on the left bank of Bordeaux. And once again, these wines are mostly Cabernet Sauvignon based, but they have a lot of different soils there. So these guys tend to futz more with, Petit Verdot, Malbec, a little more Merlot creeping in there. All the classic Bordeaux varieties can be found in the Haut Medoc. Now, as we squeeze in from the Haut Medoc, we're going to head to an area called Margaux. Heard of it? Yeah, probably have. The famous Chateau Margaux is there, along with a world of other famous chateaus. And most of those, once again, are Cabernet Sauvignon based and make absolutely brilliant wines. And as you're heading north from Margaux, you bump straight into the areas of Saint-Julien. Saint-Julien, world famous, Léoville, Las Casses, a lot of other famous chateaus there. From Léoville, from Saint-Julien, you head straight into Pauillac. And then from Pauillac, you bump into Saint-Estèphe. And once you get north of Saint-Estèphe, well, that is kind of the upper Medoc, and it's kind of not a very happy place to grow grapes. Essentially. Now, as for the style of wines from these areas, basically as in the further south, the wines tend to have a bit more finesse and elegance to them. Once again, we have a little Merlot creeping into it, in the Pessac area around the town of Bordeaux. And Margaux, the wines tend to be elegant and full of finesse. And from those 2 areas, you're going to find wines that have a lot of those kind of, well, in Margaux, you get flowers. You get this wonderful violet character. You get a restraint, a refined kind of curranty fruit character, berries, all that good stuff. From the Pessac wines just south, you get more of a mineral character because the soils tend to be a bit stonier. You can taste the pebbles, you can taste the rocks in the wines made just from the town of Bordeaux and just south. As you head into Saint-Julien, the wines get more forceful. They get more intense. They have more breeding. No, breeding is the wrong word. They got more chutzpah. Chutzpah? Yeah. They got more chutzpah. And those wines offer more power, but with some of the elegance you see from the Margaux area. And then when you get into Pauillac, Pauillac is that kind of king of the left bank regions, up for discussion from the other guys in the other areas, but for the most part, consumers kind of think the Pauillac is considered the best area in the left bank of Bordeaux. And those wines reach that pinnacle of refinement and power grouped together. And basically there, you're dealing with a lot more Cabernet Sauvignon. So when they talk about, Cabernet being king, well, at least in Pauillac, it is. But the cool thing is, once you get just north of Pauillac into Saint Estèphe, you can bump into some really quality wines. Because what we have to remember is these areas are only separated by these little troughs, these little reservoirs called jarls. Okay? So what's happening is, Lafite Rothschild, which is a very famous estate, $1,000 a bottle, is literally a stone's throw to Côte d'Esternel, which is one of the finest estates in Saint Estèphe, just north. I mean, they almost share a common border. It's amazing. So basically what happens with the Saint Estèphe wines is you get the power and the weight of the Pauillac wines, but you get a little more of once again, more of a minerally, some people say kind of like a tarry type character, earthier, stonier character. So to kind of fix some of that, what they do is they use a bit more Merlot in the blend in that northern part. Because also as you get more north, things get a little cooler and it's tougher to ripen stuff. So the Merlot actually works really well because it's an earlier ripening grape variety. As we talked about earlier, Cabernet Sauvignon is king. Merlot is growing a lot in that neck of the woods. And why do you need these wines in your life? Why not? Bordeaux is one of the king of wines. It is known for a fantastic track record for aging. It is versatile with a number of cuisines. Classic meat dishes, veals, chickens, sauces, gravies, you name it. Bordeaux seems to find its way into a lot of dishes on the table. Not only that, but the linchpin of many people's cellars, that kind of the big chunk, is these Bordeaux wines. And even though they do have a track record for ageability, let's remember that wine is made differently now than it was 25, 30 years ago. So the Bordeaux you taste today, or drink today, you can actually consume with less bottle age on them. I've drunk some wines from 2005, 2003, 2006 right now, and the wines are doing beautifully in 2012. So it just goes to show, even though Bordeaux has this track record for aging, let's not forget that they have to change with the times too. And everybody's making wines that are more drinkable now. So accordingly, you can crack open a bottle of Bordeaux after half a dozen years now instead of maybe waiting 20. So, in the end, Left Bank, Cabernet, greatest wines, some of the greatest wines in the world. We're going to hit you right back with part 2. And from there, we're going to talk about Merlot, because everybody loves Merlot.